everyone, today we will going to discuss the orbital cavity. Today our topic about the orbital cavity. Okay, we will discuss which bones, which part take part in the orbital cavity. Okay, this is the orbital cavity. Okay, and everyone know in orbit what we have present there, because there is formation of like eyeball, and there we have eye. Now we will going to discuss how first of all, the orbital cavity, we have four walls. Okay, four walls of orbital cavities, four walls. Okay, which walls we will going to discuss? This one, this is superior wall, superior wall. This one is medial wall, because this side medial wall. This one is lateral wall. And this one is the lower one, is inferior wall. Now again, orbital cavity we have consist of four walls: superior wall, upper wall, lower wall is inferior, lateral is the lateral side of the orbital cavity, and medial is medially where the nasal bone. Okay, now we will going to discuss which formation we have. Superior wall, which bone take part there. Lateral wall, we will discuss which bone, which part or which surface take part. Medially, we will going to discuss which bone, which part or surface take part, and inferior also. Okay, now each surface we will going to discuss, each wall we will going to discuss. First we will going to discuss superior wall. Superior wall of orbital cavity. Here, if we remember, we have like in the frontal bone also we have this part area take part in frontal bone, because this is the orbital part of the frontal bone. Okay, we know this one because we already discussed in the frontal bone. Okay, we will see which formation we have here. Orbital plate, orbital part, orbital part of a frontal bone. Next, from the back side, if you will see in the inside the cranial fossa, there we have take part lesser wing of sphenoid bone. Lesser wing of sphenoid bone. In Latin, para orbitalis of os frontalis, minor ala of os sphenoidali. Okay, this is the orbital part of frontal bone, and lesser wing of sphenoid bone are take part in the superior wall of the orbital cavity. Okay, this is the orbital superior wall formation. Okay, now we discuss already superior wall, which we have take part in the orbital cavity. Now the second wall we have is medial wall. This one, medial wall. Now we have medial wall. Medial wall of orbital cavity. Okay, medial wall of orbital cavity. Which formation or which surfaces are part of take parts? If you know, when we discuss the facial bone, maxilla bone, there we have frontal process of the maxilla bone. Okay, frontal process of the maxilla bone. Okay, take part in the medial wall of the orbital cavity. We will write here medial frontal process of maxilla bone or processus frontalis of os maxillar is the take part in the medial wall. Next we have here lacrimal bone. Two lacrimal bones also take part in each orbit because we have paired orbit cavity. Okay, second we will going to write here we have lacrimal bone also take part in the medial wall of the orbit. Next we have here we are going here take part the body of corpus sphenoidale. Which one? Body of sphenoid bone. Body of sphenoid bone. Okay. Also there remember we discussed when we discussed os ethmoidale ethmoid bone, there we have orbital plate in ethmoid bone. Here is the orbital plate of ethmoid bone. Okay, this is the formation which is going, this is a take part in the medial wall of the orbit cavity. First we have frontal process of the maxilla bone, which I hide this one. Next we have lacrimal bone, this one the black one is lacrimal bone. Body of sphenoid bone, which is the red I hide it, is the body of sphenoid bone take part, and this is the orbital plate of the ethmoid bone. Lowerly here, if you come lowerly here we have nasolacrimal canal, lower of the medial wall of orbital cavity, we have nasolacrimal canal, because there we have fossa, and this fossa opening in lacrimal sac. Okay, this is opening in the lacrimal sac. Okay, next we have this formation take part in the medial wall of the orbit. Now we will going to discuss the another wall of the orbital cavity. Okay, we discussed superior wall, we discussed medial wall. Now we will going to discuss the lateral wall of the orbit, and we know where this is the lateral wall of the orbit, this one. Okay, now lateral wall, which bone we take part here. Okay, we know here is the orbital surface. Do you remember the sphenoid bone? We have greater wing, and greater we have four surfaces: cerebral surface, orbital surface, temporal surface, and maxillary surface. Now is orbital surface of the greater wing of sphenoid bone. This take part in lateral wall of the orbit. First we will write here lateral wall of orbital cavity. Okay, which take part first orbital surface of greater wing Okay, next do you remember here in front also this is the this is the frontal process of the zygomatic bone, also take part here like that, and a connection with the zygomatic process of the frontal bone. Here we have suturing. This is the zygomatic process of frontal bone, and this is the frontal process of the zygomatic bone. Because zygomatic bone is connected like that, they have three surfaces: orbital surface, temporal surface, and lateral surface. Okay, we will write here frontal process of a zygomatic bone, frontal process of a zygomatic bone. Okay, and there also we have in orbital surface of zygomatic bone, there we have foramena. Its name zygomatic orbital foramena. Zygomatic orbital foramena. These are the formation which take part in the lateral wall of the orbit. Okay, in the orbit circle of the temporal, there is take part in foramena. Its name is a zygomatic orbital foramena. Okay, this formation which take of each bone which take part in the lateral wall of the orbital cavity. Okay, we discussed three wall. Now is the last wall we will going to discuss is remaining inferior wall of the orbital cavity. Okay, inferior wall. Inferior wall of the orbital cavity. Orbital cavity. Now I'm going to show which one way. You know, do you remember? This is here we have maxilla. This is a maxilla bone. Okay, and maxilla bone. Which part? Which surface? Orbital surface of the maxilla bone. Next, we have zygomatic. Here we have zygomatic. Also, which I told we have foramena. This is zygomatic orbital surface of zygomatic bone. Okay. Now, which formation take first is a orbital surface. Orbital surface of a maxilla and zygomatic bone. And also, do you remember when we discussed the palatine bone? There we have orbital process of palatine bone is the back side. There is located orbital process of palatine bone. There we have infraorbital groove also take part in the inferior wall of the orbital cavity. Infraorbital groove, and this in front of infraorbital groove we have infraorbital canal. Infraorbital canal we have there in front of infraorbital canal, and this canal there will opening us into foramena, infraorbital foramena, which we have in the zygomatic bone. Okay, this is the walls which we discussed in orbital cavity. We everyone know, like short summary. In orbital cavity, for where there is like a formed, we have eyeball and we have glass eyes are located here in the our orbital cavity. But we discussing the bones and cavity. There we will going to discuss which wall, which bone, which surface, and which part take part in each wall. We discussed superior wall. We have frontal part of the orbital part of the frontal bone and a lesser wing of greater wing. Medial wall we have located the frontal process of zygomatic bone, maxilla bone, and we have lacrimal bone, and we have body of sphenoid bone and orbital plate of the Ethemoid bone. Next, inferior wall we have orbital surface of maxilla bone and zygomatic bone, and also the orbital process of the palatine bone. And laterally we have zygomatic process, frontal process of the zygomatic bone, and orbital surface of the greater wing of sphenoid bone. Okay, this formation we are started for today is enough. This is orbital cavity. Okay, thank you for